Hello, this is Christina with the Stage Nature Center coming to you live, and I'm here today for us to meet more of our animal ambassadors. I'm going to give us just a minute here for some more people to check in. Right now I just see, oh, here we go. We have a couple more people joining us. I'm going to give us just a couple more minutes before we start talking about the frogs to give people a moment to check in. Again, my name is Christina, and I'm a naturalist here at the Stage Nature Center. I am here today to take care of our animals during this time while we're closed and trying to practice social distancing. So like I said, I'm here to take care of the animals, and while I'm here, I'm sharing some of our animals with you guys. So you can see previous live broadcasts on our website or on Facebook. And today we're going to be talking about our gray tree frogs, Payton and Patrick. I'm going to give us a couple more minutes here for some more people to check in. While we do that, just to remind you guys that the building is closed, and we will be closed at least through the end of April, April 30th. The trails remain open, so we definitely would love to have you guys come out here and enjoy the trails as long as you are, hello, as long as you are being safe, practicing safe social distancing. There is plenty of room on the trails to make sure you are giving yourself space, so that way you're being safe while you're out here, but it's a great time to get outside. So come out and enjoy the trails. And we also want to ask that if you wanted to share this live post on your Facebook page, that way some of your friends, if they wanted to watch, they'll see it on your Facebook page if you share it. So if you can do that, that would be great too. Also, to remind everybody that we do normally do programs here. That's our main goal, is to educate the public and give them a chance to learn about nature and to have a respect for nature. But right now we can't do those programs since we're closed, like a lot of places. And we are a nonprofit organization. The Troy Nature Society is who runs the Nature Center. And since our programs are not going right now, we are definitely down in funds, like a lot of places are going through a very difficult time right now with the coronavirus. We are also experiencing some troubles too, because we rely very heavily on the funds from our programs, which we can't do right now. So if you are able to and have it in your means to make a donation, you can donate through this live Facebook post. You can also donate on our website. And you know, any amount is greatly appreciated, but we're just happy that you're joining us. We hope that you're enjoying these live videos while we're closed, and also that it helps get you excited when we reopen, so you can come see these live animals in person, and some of the other things that we have here as well. So hopefully this will get you excited to meet some of these animals and come back when we're open, which we're looking forward to. So today, again, and I see some people are checking in and asking about the tree frogs. So we are meeting Patrick and Payton. I'm going to take them out for just a minute, show you them really quickly, put them back, and then share some things with you about frogs and amphibians. It's going to be really hard for me to hold them and do that at the same time, because they are very tricky to hold, and I don't want them hopping away and me having to chase them around the nature center. They're very active right now. So let me bring the two of them out. I'll show you here first. I've got them in this container. There's one right here, and then there's one in the back here. So this is Patrick and Payton. Let me see if I can grab them out so you can see them outside. It's going to take me just a second. I've got to be very careful. They have not eaten yet today because I'm hoping to feed them live on this post. They usually eat first thing in the morning, so they're probably very, very hungry. They're both trying to climb. They're coming towards me. I don't know if you can see. One's up at the top, and Patrick down at the bottom is coming over towards me because I think he thinks he's going to get fed. So let's see if, oh, she's climbing out. Okay, hi guys. Let me see if I can. I might introduce them to you one at a time here because they're slippery. Oh, okay. So let me see if I can show you her here. So this is Payton. Oh, Payton. She is trying to hop around here. This is Payton. She is a gray tree frog. And let me show you Patrick. Like I said, it's going to be kind of hard for them to hold them for too long because they like to move around a lot and they're very slippery. Oh, come on, buddy. Okay. He's trying to get out of my hand here. And here is Patrick. Okay. So, and as a defense, they sometimes will urinate, which is what they just did because they weren't too crazy about me trying to hold them right now. So I'm gonna sit them right there for a second, wipe off my hand. Okay, here they are again. See if you can see them. Sorry if there's a reflection, and I apologize. I'm doing the best I can with the video here since we are practicing safe social distancing. It's just me here, so doing the video and the animals is a little difficult. So I'm doing the best I can. Hopefully you can see. Oh, there we go. So that is Payton right there. And let me bring this around the other side here so you can see Patrick. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about them. So Patrick came to us, and I see that the family has joined us today, which is awesome. Patrick came to us last year from a wonderful family who really loved these frogs very much, but thought it would be better for them to live at the nature center because they were having some medical issues, and they, as amphibians, they have very demanding needs. So this family had originally adopted Patrick from another family, friend of theirs, who had to move out of country, and so they took on these Patrick and to take care of them. And then as they had more medical needs, then they were trying to find a better home for them, and that's how they came to us here at the Stage Nature Center, which we were very happy and excited that they thought of us. We had room at the time to take on some more animals, and we had room to take on some tree frogs, so we were happy to be able to take Patrick in. Even though the family that adopted Patrick did not take him from the wild themselves, they learned that it's important to not take animals from the wild to have as pets. So they learned a lot from that experience, but they did what they could to take care of these frogs, and they loved them very much. They check in with us to see how these frogs are doing, and I know that they're part of this live stream today to see how they're doing, which is awesome. They also made some wonderful donations to help with the care of these frogs, which we really appreciated as well. So that's Patrick, and then Payton we brought in after we had Patrick to have another tree frog, since we were setting up a great habitat for them, and we wanted to have another tree frog because they can be kind of tricky to see. They like to hide, so we thought if we had two, it'd make it a little bit easier for people to learn about them and see them when they come visit. And what's also really neat is that they're male and female. We're pretty sure they are, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a bit, but it's great to be able to see the size difference. I don't know, it's kind of hard because they're spread out right now. This is Patrick right here, and this is Payton right here. I don't know if you can tell the size difference. They're not wanting to stay right next to each other. Well, Patrick is climbing the back here. Let me see if I can show you. Sorry about the reflect. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. So Patrick, being a male, is smaller than Payton. Payton is a little bit larger. So typically the males are smaller and the females are larger. We also know that Patrick is a male because we know that he sings. When they're breeding and mating, the males sing and to the females to get their attention. So Patrick, oops, he jumped down here. Patrick, oh, he's going over to Payton. Let me see if I can turn it a little bit. There we go. So Patrick does sing, and when he used to live with the family, they told us that when they played the piano, Patrick would sing during breeding season. Also, our staff member who first took Patrick home in quarantine, when they first come to us, we make sure that they're not exposed to our other animals. So that way we keep our other animals healthy until we know that it's okay to introduce them to the rest of our displays here. So Patrick was at home with a staff member for a few weeks, about a month or so actually. And when the dogs would bark, Patrick would sing. And when he heard other noises, he would sing. So he hasn't started singing yet this year because it's not quite time yet for them to sing. It will be here in about May or June. We should start hearing the tree frog sing. Oh, he's climbing up the side again. He's actually being very active, which is really neat. There he is. So hopefully we'll start hearing him sing when it gets to more of their time of year. Because even though they live inside, social distancing for frogs, definitely. It provides a good example, right? Why we're doing what we need to do right now. We do the same with animals to make sure that they're not passing things to each other. So we can learn a lot of great lessons from looking at wildlife. Patrick, they'll start singing in about May, and like I said, even though they live inside, they can detect the changes in the spring, or the seasons, to the change in the time of year from winter to spring. They can detect the change in daylight and the temperatures as well. Even though they're also in a more constant temperature inside, they can still detect these changes. So they will still go through their annual cycles and things that they do from different times of the year. So anyways, that's a little bit about Patrick and Payton specifically. Let's talk a little bit about frogs and toads in general. Frogs and toads are what we call amphibians, and amphibians are animals that will typically lay unshelled eggs, so they're not hard eggs. They're actually, a lot of them are very soft and jelly-like, and they lay them in water or moist areas because their eggs don't have those shells. And amphibians usually spend the first part of their life in water or in moist areas. So those eggs are laid. Actually, let me show you here. I have a poster here. So their eggs are laid typically in the water. And then amphibians go through a metamorphosis. They go through a change, but amphibians start their life typically in water and moist areas, and then as they grow, they move to the habitats that they live in. Most species have a gilled or larval stage that changes into a lung-breathing adult. So here we can see here we can see what the tadpole looks like, the larval stage. So after those eggs are laid, they turn into a tadpole. They have tails to help them swim. They don't yet have legs. And they have gills for breathing. And then as they grow, they'll start to grow legs. That tail will start to go into the rest of the body will absorb it. And then as they become adults, they get all of their legs, the tail starts to go away, and then they become an adult frog. So that's a little bit about the life cycle of a frog. Let me back up. Here we go. That's the life cycle of a frog. So when they're tadpoles, they're actually more likely to be herbivores, so they eat plant matter. And then as frogs and toads grow into adults, a lot of them become insectivores. They eat insects, or even carnivores. They eat other animals. Like bullfrogs will eat lots of other animals. They've been known to eat small birds, bats, other frogs, fish, and lots of things. So anyways, back to amphibians. Amphibians are also cold-blooded, just like reptiles. We're warm-blooded, being mammals, which means that we can make our own body heat. Amphibians and reptiles, they can't make their own body heat. They get their heat from their surroundings. So during the winter, they survive by hibernating. And that's why during the winter time, and even right now, although we are starting to hear some frogs, we don't see frogs or hear them as much because they are hibernating. We are starting to hear the chorus frogs at this time of year, which is really exciting as these temperatures warm up, although they probably went into a little bit of a shock yesterday with the snow and the changing temperatures, which is pretty shocking for me too. Really exciting though, to see that change. And at this time of year, they start to come out of hibernation. Now, tree frogs like Patrick and Payton, they have something special in their blood that's an antifreeze, basically, that helps them keep their blood from freezing. But what's really neat is that tree frogs, let me show them to you again. Here we go. Tree frogs, like Patrick and Payton, 40% of their body can freeze solid during the winter time, and they will still survive. And the reason that is because tree frogs, they hibernate in areas that are colder, so they hibernate in areas like under leaf litter or just under the soil. Whereas other types of frogs, they will go deeper down into the dirt underneath the ponds where they can stay warmer. But tree frogs don't. They stay closer to the surface, which means that it's going to be colder for them. And that means that they have to have this ability to let part of their body freeze without it killing them. So part of their body will freeze solid, and then in the spring, they will start to warm up again, and they start to become active. So amphibians, frogs and toads, like I said, they're amphibians. They either have smooth skin or warty skin. Toads tend to be the ones that have the drier, warty skin, and frogs have smoother skin. Now, one thing that makes frogs unique, frogs and toads, is that and amphibians in general, they tend to have very thin skin that's easily penetrable. What that means for them is that they are more vulnerable to things in the environment. So frogs and toads are actually wonderful indicators of what's going on in the environment. And that's because they absorb a lot of things into their skin, like chemicals that are in the environment. And unfortunately for them, that means that they can die more easily from this stuff. But for us, that's an indication. If we start seeing frogs and toads dying in an environment, that's an indication to us that there might be something wrong in the environment. But that's one reason amphibians are so sensitive, is because of that very thin skin that is very penetrable. So that's also why it's very important that if you're handling amphibians, that you make sure that your hands are clean, they don't have any kind of chemicals on them. Anything can be very sensitive to them, and that your hands are moist. It's good to keep your hands moist. So now toads, like I said, are different because toads have drier skin, and they tend to have warts on their skin, although some people say that you're going to get warts by handling toads, and that's not true. If you kiss a frog, you're not going to turn into a frog, although don't try kissing a frog or a toad, because they still can have germs that are not good for us, and we can give them things that are not good for them. They're climbing all around here. Let me show them to you again. So we do have a toad here at the Nature Center, and in another live post down the road, and here maybe in a week or so, we will be meeting our toad. But today we're talking about our tree frogs. Now, tree frogs are special because they have these sticky pads on their toes. Let me bring them up close here to the camera. They have these sticky pads on their toes that let them climb very easily. And that's why they're called tree frogs, because they spend a lot of time high up in the trees. Let me show another one here. You can really see those feet spread out, and you can see those pads. Now, we have two types of tree frogs. We have the eastern gray tree frog, and we also have the Cope's gray tree frog. We believe that these two are the eastern gray tree frogs, but the only real way to tell the difference between them is by listening to their song. And in just a minute, I will play their song for you. Another feature of frogs and toads is that their underbellies are usually lighter color than the tops of their bodies. So let me show you their underbellies again here. Here's Patrick sprawled out. Actually, he's really showing you one feature of a gray tree frog. Oops, is that yellow underneath their legs. That's one of the things that they have in their coloration. But anyways, they have a light color on the bottom, and then let me turn it this way, and they're a darker color on top. And that especially helps them with predators, especially when they're in the water. If there are predators that are swimming underneath of them, then that lighter color helps blend in with the light in the sky, whereas the darker color on top helps them blend in with the darkness on the bottom. So that's why they have those two different colorations. Frogs and toads also produce substances in their, produce chemicals that make them distasteful and can make them poisonous. And not all species, but some species poisonous. And that's why you don't want to let your dogs try to eat a frog or a toad, because that substance can make them sick. So let me show you here. Michigan has 13 species of frogs and toads. I'm going to show you, I'll show you part of this poster. So here is the gray tree frog. Now the gray tree frog isn't always gray, and they can change color depending on their surroundings. Oh, let me show you something. They are right next to each other right now. I'm going to see if I can keep them that way so you can see their size difference. There we go. So right up top here, that is Payton, and right down here is Patrick. So you can see that Patrick is smaller than Payton. Like I said, females are typically larger and the males are typically smaller. So I don't think they probably won't stay this way very long. So I wanted to show them to you while they're right next to each other so you can see that size difference. Let's see, here we go. So like I was saying, gray tree frogs are not always gray. They can be a greenish color. They can be a light grayish color, more of a white. So their colors change depending on their surroundings. So like I said, there's the Cope's gray tree frog, and then there's the eastern gray tree frog. Those are our tree frogs here in Michigan. Here are some of our other frogs that we have here in Michigan. The bullfrog is the largest. Let me move it over to this side. Here are some of our other frogs. The chorus frog is the one that we're starting to hear right now, and I can't read backwards. So where is the chorus frog? Oh, there it is, right up here. There's our chorus frog. So we are starting to hear them. And actually, while we're talking about it, so you know what they sound like, let me play their song for you. I have an app on my phone. I have a lot of nature apps on my phone. This is one great way to bring nature with you when you're going outside. That's one of the reasons I got a smartphone, is because I could get all of these nature apps. You can see I have a lot of them on my phone here, all these different kinds of nature guides. And let me play the chorus frog for you. So hopefully you can hear that. So that's the chorus frog, and that's one of the earlier frogs that we're going to start hearing. Another frog you could start hearing right now is the spring peeper. The spring peeper, we don't usually hear them here, or it's harder to hear them, but they're a very small little frog and they have a very loud sound. So I do see some questions coming in. I'm going to try to answer them the best I can while we're doing this live stream. So I just saw somebody ask if I could recommend some nature apps. Oh, in a future session. Actually, I can tell you a couple right now. Audubon makes some great nature apps. Audubon field guides. I have birds, I have mammals, I have reptiles and amphibians. That's the one that I just played for you, was the Reptiles and Amphibians Audubon app. I have, like I said, I have a lot. So National Geographic has one for birds. Peterson Field Guides also has one for birds. Sibley Birds is another good one. eBird is an app that you can use to report sightings of birds, so it's a wonderful app. There's also, let's see, Merlin Bird ID is an app that helps you ID birds. So that's another good one to have. Let's see. There's also an app called Leaf Snap that lets you take a picture if you're trying to identify a leaf, and and that you can take out on the trails with you, and it'll help you identify the leaf of a plant that you're seeing. So those are some of the apps, and I can definitely tell you more about more apps as we talk along. So those are some of the apps. Now let me play the tree frog for you, so you can hear what these guys sound like. Here, let me show them again to you. Patrick went back down to the bottom. There's Payton up top here. So this is the eastern gray tree frog. And then the Cope's gray tree frog, like I said, they look very similar to each other. The main way to tell the difference is in their call. So let me play the call. So that's the Cope's gray tree frog. And that's a little bit about what that's kind of what they sound like. Tree frogs, these gray tree frogs can live to be about 7 to 9 years old. We don't know exactly how old these two are because they were adults when they came to us. But we've had them since about a year ago. They do eat small insects and spiders. I am going to try to feed them here in a minute some crickets and some waxworms so you can see what that looks like when they eat, because it's a lot of fun to watch. Hopefully you'll get to see it. Hopefully they'll do it on camera. I don't know if they're camera shy about eating or not. So let me show you something else. I wanted to show you a couple of skeletons that we have here. So this is the skeleton of a frog. Now, frogs and toads, one feature they have is they have really wide heads and wide mouths. Frogs and toads are designed for jumping, but frogs have really long hind legs, whereas toads have short hind legs. So toads do little hops, whereas frogs can often do big leaps. Another feature that makes frogs and toads special is that they don't have ribs like we do. They do have a vertebrae, but they don't have ribs like we do. And that's something else that makes frogs and toads different from other animals. Let me show you another skeleton here, so you can see what it looks like from this angle. So again, they have those specialized legs that are good for hopping or jumping. I really like the skeleton. You can see how long those back toes are, which are also helpful for hopping and jumping. Okay, so let's see now if we can get Patrick and Payton to eat. I'm going to do the best I can with the camera here and not to move it around too much. I also have to be careful that they don't hop out, so I apologize if the camera moves around a lot. And if for some reason it seems like I'm not going to be able to feed them in there without them hopping out, then I'll just close it back up and maybe I'll try feeding them when we put them back in their container. So actually you can see Payton is right at the top here. What I'm going to do is I am going to, in just a moment, I'm going to turn the camera around and I'm going to feed them a cricket and a waxworm. Hopefully they'll eat. So I'm going to go over here for just a second and I'll be right back. Looks like they're ready to eat. Oh, goodness. Like I said, I'm trying to do this by myself. I apologize about the camera falling there. It's a little tricky to try to do this on my own, but I want you guys to be able to see this. So just one more moment here. I'm gonna get a cricket ready. Payton is very fast about it. We'll try feeding her first. So I've got these crickets in a little container right here. Let's see. Trying to catch one. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to turn the camera around. See if we can get it. There we go. Okay. That was fast. Don't go out there, Payton. So that's Payton. She ate that really fast. she's hungry. Can you go down a little bit, girl? Okay. Let's see. She'll probably eat another one. Oops. Let's try this again here. Oh, there we go. Unfortunately, you can't see it from this angle. Let me turn so you can see her. If you watch her eyes, let's see if she does it. If you watch her eyes, and she already did it. It's too fast. Oh, there goes Patrick. He's like, wait a minute. Why aren't you feeding me? Okay, Patrick. Come on back in there. Hold on one second. Put them back down a little bit further here. They're getting excited. Okay. Let's see if I can do this. Patrick is a little bit more challenging to feed because he does have, no, okay. Let's see if Payton will take it. There we go. So I don't know if you saw her close her eyes there. When she closes her eyes, that helps her swallow her food. Oh, here comes Patrick. Let me try a waxworm with Patrick. Sometimes he'll eat a waxworm. I'm gonna set the camera down here for just a second. Maybe. I'm sorry, there we go. Again, this is kind of challenging to do just on my own. Let me try to get a waxworm here. Okay, so here we've got Patrick. Oh, there he goes. He's a little more challenging to feed because he has one eye that he is partially blind in. They're not exactly sure what happened to him, but that's how he's been for a long time. And that's one of the reasons why the family that gave him to us thought maybe we could take care of him better. And that's why we have to hand feed him, because he's not really able to, there she goes, he's not really able to catch food on his own. So we feed him by putting the food at his face. Let's see if I can get Payton to eat a waxworm. Let's see here. She might be full because I just fed her a whole bunch. Let's see if Patrick wants another one. Sometimes it takes them a minute before they're ready to have, oh, there he goes. Yummy, yummy. I love watching them eat. So, let me see if I can get above him here. There we go. Sorry, it's not focusing. There we go. So you can see him close his eyes, and they close their eyes to help them swallow their food. And usually it takes them a minute to swallow before they're ready for their next one. So Patrick, let's see, it's his left eye there. So on this side, sorry, let me get the camera to focus again. It's his left eye that is a little bit cloudy and he has more trouble seeing out of. Let me bring him back down here. I think Payton's full because now she's just kind of hanging out towards the bottom. Let's see. How many crickets or worms do they eat per day was a question that I just had. We don't feed them every day. They get fed, oops, they get fed several times a week, 3 times a week. And usually they'll eat, Payton's a little bit more of a pig than Patrick is. Payton usually will eat 3-4 crickets and maybe a waxworm or two. Patrick usually eats, oh, here you can see their good jumping legs. Patrick usually eats maybe 1 or 2 crickets and maybe 1 waxworm. Some days, though, we can tell that he's hungry because when he sees us walking by their home, their aquarium, he will jump towards us. And he'll open his mouth like he's hungry. Let me see if either one of them is still hungry. Let's see if Payton wants any more. Nope, I think she's done. Let's see if Patrick wants one. Here we go. Do you want another one? No? Okay. All right. While we watch them here for a little bit, I'm going to scroll back through and see if I can find any other questions that I may have missed. Are gray tree frogs poisonous? So they do have a little bit of substance that can make other animals sick. Most frogs and toads do in their warts that they have on their body, which are those little bumps. So they're not going to be, if you handle them, they're not going to make you sick. But if you eat them, so I don't recommend you try doing that, or let your dogs do that, that can possibly make other animals sick. Let's see, I'm going back through to see if I have any other questions here that I missed. And if I missed them, I've had some trouble getting on here and answering all these wonderful questions. So I'm going to try today to go back through and answer questions from our live feed today and from our other live feeds. So that way, if I missed some questions, I can get to them later. Do tree frogs blend in with the trees? That's another question I see. And they definitely do. They can change their color depending on their background. So if something is more green, they can become more green. If it's something that's more gray or brown, they'll become more gray and brown. So they can change their colors to help them blend in. Looks like they're slowing down a little bit. How do they stick to the side of the cage was another question. Earlier, I think I showed you guys their sticky pads on their feet. Let me put one back up on the side here. There we go. Wait. Oh, now she wants to climb up. So you can see her toes. There we go. So you can see, oh, where are you going? They have sticky pads on their toes that let them climb up the sides of things. Again, I apologize for how much the camera's moving here. Hopefully you're not getting dizzy or sick. Oh, come on. Oh, there she goes. Now she's holding on to my hand. She doesn't seem to want to go back on the container. There you go. Okay. I am going to put the lid back on. Where are you going, girl? Hold on just a second. I apologize. I'm moving the camera around a little bit. She wants to be... Payton likes to hang out towards the top of the aquarium, whereas Patrick tends to hang out lower in the aquarium. There we go. Okay, now I don't have to worry about them jumping out as much. Let's see. I'm gonna go. Just trying to scroll through here. I'm doing this on the iPad, so I'm not seeing a whole bunch of comments at once, so it's hard for me to see everybody's questions. Let's see. Like I said, it looks like they are slowing down now, probably because they ate. Somebody asked if did they lay eggs? These guys have not laid eggs, no. But frogs do lay eggs. Now, frogs lay eggs in big clusters, and they are jelly-like, usually in the water, whereas toads also lay jelly-like eggs, but their eggs are usually laid in chains. Okay. All right. Well, they are slowing down now, so I'm going to give them a little bit of a break. I'm going to come back. All right. So I hope you enjoyed seeing them eat. I may have had a cricket or two escape the container while I was trying to do all of these different things with my hands, so I have some crickets to chase down here in a minute. But I hope you enjoyed learning about our tree frogs and some more of our animal ambassadors. We appreciate you joining us, and we hope again that this will get you excited to see these animals live when we reopen. Like I mentioned earlier, right now we're still closed through the end of April. Hopefully we'll be reopening soon after that. But in the meantime, definitely keep checking in on these presentations. We have some more animals to meet. I'm gonna try to come over here and let you see our animal that we're meeting next time. Although he seems like he's hiding. I don't see, oh, he is on the top of his log here. Let me turn it on. So next week, we will be meeting Benny, our painted turtle. I'm shocked he's not jumping in the water right now because usually when he sees us, he's jumping in the water, although he did eat just before this presentation. So he is probably full. He's basking, taking up some of that heat so that way he can digest his food. So that's probably why he's not jumping in the water right now, because he did just eat. But usually when he sees us, he's a very hungry little turtle. And I'll feed him live next week on the stream too. So the next live stream will be next Tuesday at 1 p.m. And we'll be meeting Benny, our painted turtle. Again, if you missed part of this live stream, you can go onto our website. It will be posted on our website later. It'll also be posted on our Facebook page. Please come enjoy the trails. Make sure you are safe and practicing safe social distancing. And again, if you are able, we'll definitely appreciate your donations to help us keep doing what we're doing. We miss you guys. We miss seeing everybody. And I can't wait to get to doing programs again, so that way everybody can start enjoying what we have here to offer. So thank you so much. We'll see you on Tuesday at 1 p.m. Otherwise, go to our website, www.stagenaturecenter.org, or our Facebook page. And I enjoyed having you guys join me today. Take care. Thank you. Bye.